Hi, how are you? So in this video, I'm going to be taking a look at some mixtapes that I made when I was a kid. As I mentioned before, I grew up in the 80s, and I used to love making mixtapes a lot. I used to tape a lot of stuff off the radio. I used to take a bunch of cassettes and select songs from each cassette and put all those together on another blank cassette. I used to love doing stuff like that. And a lot of people I talked to who grew up in the 80s who did the same thing that I did, sometime along the way they parted with all of their mixtapes, but I have hung on to all of mine. I still have all the tapes that I made when I was a kid. So I'm going to be showing you a few of those in this video. And they're really interesting. So starting off, this is a tape that I made when I was about 10 years old. And we have some puffy stickers on there. Of course, some Pac-Man puffy stickers. It was the 80s. Now, this one is a bit misleading because the J card is not matching with the actual cassette. So as you can see, this was a brand called Audio Magnetics, XHELN, extra low noise. And there's my track listing there in my 10-year-old writing. All the songs I taped off the radio. And but the tape itself is actually a realistic cassette, and here it is right here. Great Hits of '82, yeah, 90-minute Type 1 cassette that I bought at Radio Shack. And I bought a lot of realistic blank cassettes back in the day, and this is just one of them. Nothing fancy. Of course, most of the songs on this tape were recorded off of AM radio, so the sound quality is definitely not that great. But still, it's really fun to listen to these old mixtapes. It really brings back memories. Of course, AM radio, the sound quality was not that great, but to a 10-year-old kid, I really didn't care that much. I still loved all of the songs. Now, coming up next, we have more puffy stickers from the 80s. We have an E.T. puffy sticker and another Pac-Man puffy sticker. And the actual cassette, if you're from Canada, you're very familiar with the brand Zellers. Zellers was a department store all across Canada back in the day. I used to go there a lot when I was a kid. And of course, like a lot of businesses, they had their own brand of blank cassette. And I actually heard recently in the news that Zellers is making a comeback. I'm not sure if that's actually true or not, but I guess we will see. And as you can see, I wrote all the songs in pencil on the actual label itself. And yeah, I took some liquid paper and wrote rock. Yeah, what a rebel. But yeah, in very small print, you can see the names of the songs actually on the cassette label. So that's a Zellers cassette. And I think this may have come in one of those 3-packs. I did a video a while ago showcasing those really cheap 3-packs of blank cassettes that you used to buy back in the day for, I don't know, I think they might have been $2, maybe even less, $2 or $3. I think this may have come from such a 3-pack. Coming up next, and I noticed a lot of companies did this back in the day, you'll see this is a Sony 90-minute cassette LNX. And the actual price is still on it, $1.88. I bought this brand new for $1.88. And I actually purchased this at the Sony store. There was a Sony store in my local mall, which I used to go to a lot back in the day. But what's really interesting about this is that you see there's like a cardboard slipcase. And I'm going to take it out and show you. This is one of the more interesting old cassettes from my collection. When you take it out of the slipcase, it's in this sort of plastic case, as you can see. Yeah, and I'll open it up, and there's the cassette. And just to show you, that's what the case looks like. It's a really interesting design. I think this is the only one of its kind in my collection. And of course, I call this Hits of Today. Wow. And there's the actual tape itself, Sony LNX, and I wrote the songs on the label itself in pencil. There's side B, here is side A, Sony LNX 90. And I was actually quite a big fan of Sony cassettes back then. Even the normal bias I found were always very good quality, very reliable. And yeah, and to this day I'm still quite a fan of Sony. I like their products quite a bit. And while we're on the topic of cardboard slipcases, here's another one. Here is an Audio Magnetics XHE cassette in a very beaten up and dog-eared cardboard case. Here's what it looks like on the back. The clear advantage you can hear, and it's showing some specs and some technical specifications for the cassette. And I'll take it out. Yeah, this is really beat up. You can tell a kid did this. But there's all the track listing. I have some Scotch tape here because the case broke. And here's the tape. Yeah. Looks That Kill, 68 Guns, It's My Life, Whisper to a Scream. Yeah, written on there in red marker, and there's some more on the back. Yeah, really takes me back. And as you can see, it's in really rough shape, but that kind of adds to the charm. And I'll put it back into its cardboard slipcase, just like that. Okay. And coming up next, I mentioned earlier about Radio Shack. Here's another Radio Shack cassette called Concert Tape. It's a 120-minute cassette. And yeah, so I used to love 120-minute cassettes back in the day. It wasn't until later that I learned they weren't the best quality, and they had a tendency to jam fairly easy and to snap fairly easy because the tape was so thin. But this was the Concert Tape series that Radio Shack sold back in the day. And there's the other side. Yeah. So that's another tape. And I think maybe this was also a 3-pack as well, if I recall correctly. I think, yeah, this particular concert tape was sold in a 3-pack at Radio Shack. And the last mixtape I'm going to show you, wow, this really brings back memories. The brand is Pulsar. And I mentioned earlier about Zellers. There's another business here in Canada called Canadian Tire, which is still operating, still very successful. And Pulsar was the brand of Canadian Tire. And you can see there's the logo for Canadian Tire right there, that little triangle with a maple leaf on the top. And as we've seen in the past, I wrote these names of the songs on the label in very, very small print. And something really hilarious, I laughed out loud when I saw this. I must have found that there wasn't enough label space to write the names of the songs. So I stuck this piece of medical gauze tape on the back here and wrote the songs on that piece of tape. And yeah, quite creative for such a young man. Anyway, this is a 60-minute low noise cassette. And yeah, I think this one too was also sold in a 3-pack. So that's my look at some mixtapes that I made way back in the day. I'm really glad I hung on to these. And actually, just for the fun of it, I've been digitizing a lot of these so I can listen to them in my car. Again, the sound quality isn't that great, but it's just very nostalgic and very fun to dig these out and listen to them. It really takes me right back. So thank you for watching. Hope you can join us again next time. Please give us a thumbs up. Please leave a comment. And as always, please subscribe. Every time someone subscribes, it really helps my channel grow, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.